Hey, it's AK with the Popcorn Perspective. I'm joined here with Jay. We're here to discuss Dune 2. What did you think about it, Jay?
Yeah, so I really liked it, and I think it's definitely a must watch. I did have some issues with it, and I would say it's definitely go watch it, but for me, it's like a zero rewatchability, and that's just me personally, but there's a lot of good to this. So maybe we can get into it a bit later. What about
Okay.
you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I understand where you're coming from. Obviously, we'll dive deep into it later on here in this video. But I think the movie was easily one of the most interesting, yet one of the most confusing movies I've seen. It's something that I want to just sit back and rewatch it, like back to back with the first movie and the second, because I feel like there's a lot that I missed that could uh make the story more complete. So I liked it a lot, but there's a lot that I want to rewatch. I have questions about.
Yeah, perfect. So why don't we just recap Dune 1 real quick, and then we can go into a more spoiler review for Dune 2.
Mhm.
So Dune 1, we had House Atreides, and that's led by Duke Leto and his son Paul Atreides. And they become caretakers of Arrakis, and that's the only planet that produces spice. Now, that's a drug that extends your life and grants mental abilities, kind
And
of
you
like
know,
Limitless.
it also helps fuel the ships as well, so the ships can go planet to planet.
Oh,
That's
snap.
why
Okay.
that's the biggest reason why it's kind of like oil. It's an
Okay.
allegory for oil. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. Uh, and then I liked about this was how and that at the beginning of the movie Dune One when they were sent to Arrakis to take over, you get to see how brutal the Harkonnens were on that planet, how much they were
Yeah.
abusing the people there, how abusive they were just to the resources itself, and then you see Atreides. So I like that juxtaposition of the two houses.
No, it's a good point. And the Harkonnens actually are the ones that go ahead and decimate the
Oh
House
yes,
Atreides. So now that was back with the Emperor. And do you recall why that was?
yeah. So from my understanding, and I absolutely rewatched part one the day before I watched the newest one. So from my recollection, the emperor saw House Atreides as someone who had a lot of support of all the other houses, so they were popular amongst the houses. On top of that, they were the second wealthiest house. So the emperor was afraid that if these guys get more wealthier, more powerful, they could push for an uprising or a coup against Arrakis. So they
Yeah. So
send
House Atreides becomes the owners of Arrakis or
yes,
stewards of
because the way
House.
he looks at it is it's going to piss off the Harkonnens because that's the Harkonnens' main field for money. So then the Harkonnens are going to basically push for a destruction of the House Treaty. So he's playing like 40 chess, the Emperor,
Right.
pitting the two houses against each other.
And so yeah, you did bring up the Harkonnens, and they're the ones that destroy House Atreides overnight. It happens super quick, and I think that was my most
Mhm.
favorite part of part one. That entire battle scene happens in like 5 minutes. Or,
Oh, it was,
yeah.
and it was also well organized and it was well
Yes.
shot.
Yeah.
Usually, nighttime scenes are kind of like create paste like cuts. This was
Yes.
it was gorgeous to watch.
I'm
Trying to
having a
side
Game of
tables.
Thrones PTSD there, but anyways,
Oh god.
um, yeah. So the Paul and his mother do survive, and they're rescued by the Freemans. And in Dune 2, actually realize that there are multiple Freemans groups.
Well, before you go further, why don't you explain to everyone who the Freemen are?
Right, so the Freemans are like the natives of Arrakis, and they are one with the nature. So they know when the worms are coming. They know how to gather water. For anyone who doesn't know, Arrakis is just a barren desert. Like it's super tough conditions.
Hmm.
And they're basically the natives of that land. They're trying to free themselves because all these people keep coming and controlling them. And that's where we're introduced by in Zendaya's character, and she is called Shani, and we're also introduced to the group's leader, who is played by Javier Bardem, and that's Stilgar, I believe.
Stilgard, yeah.
Yes, and part two actually picks up pretty much after right after that.
Yeah,
So
so one thing I do want to mention on the ending of the rescue of the from the Freemans for Paul and his mom Jessica. So they actually that's when you actually see Duncan Idaho. That's they're like weapons trainer for the first movie. He had an amazing fight scene where he sacrifices his life, and that still might be one of my favorite like one shot fight scenes in a while. That was so well done.
that was really well done. All
Yeah.
right, dude. Should we get into part two?
Yeah, let's do it. So we're gonna break it up slightly. We're gonna do a little bit non-spoiler, and we'll let you guys know when we'll do more spoiler.
Perfect. Where do we want to start with part two?
Well, let's start about obviously this is non-spoiler, so anything you can talk about what you liked about the movie, the non-spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know in the trailers this character was already introduced, which is Austin Butler's character, and he's called Fate Rautha. I might be
Mm,
mispronouncing that, but he was a standout in this. He was
definitely.
amazing. Like just his entrance and his beginning, you're like, oh, okay. This character is just
Psychopathic.
crazy. Yeah,
And I've
yeah,
actually never, I don't think I've ever seen Austin Butler in a movie. I have not seen Elvis. I do want to. I plan on watching it, but I don't think I've seen Austin Butler before. So I've heard so much about this guy. So seeing him in Dune 2 and just wipe the floor, like, oh my god, that was well done. He was
yeah.
terrifying.
He was awesome, and I think Rebecca Ferguson, right? That was a standard character for
Lady
you.
Jessica, yes, she nailed it as like the Lady Mother, the Bene Gesserits, just showing how her, I guess, cult of worship with the Bene Gesserits and how manipulative they are, how they basically convinced planets on planets on planets that there is a chosen one per planet. All they're doing is brainwashing and corrupting the minds of these folks, basically making them ruin their own country or planet. So it's the Ben Gesserits and obviously Lady Jessica is part of that group. They're interesting, and she kills it. Like every time she's on the screen, I just want to watch more.
And this is definitely not spoiler, but it's same as part one. The visuals. Oh my gosh. The visuals were brilliant in this movie. And that's one reason I would highly recommend watching it in theater.
Oh
The
yes,
score,
watch it on IMAX.
oh yeah, if you can, definitely watch it in IMAX. Don't watch it at home. Definitely watch it in theater. It's
No,
worth it. And this was actually shown in the trailer. It's when Paul Atreides he this is his first time getting onto the worm
oh
in
yes,
theater. That was way cooler. Like
that
that
was
that had me hyped.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that
Like
was
watching
super
that, I
good.
was like, I'm a ride or die with this guy. Like, let's go,
Yes, he's the
let's
Messiah.
go. Which we'll get into that later. That
Right,
was
right, right.
interesting. Yeah, but I mean, I think I'm ready to get like give a score just for the non spoilers. We can get into the more spoilery side of
Yeah, go
things,
for it.
but yeah, I definitely think this is a theta pop. Whether you will end up liking the movie or not, that's all based on your own personal preference. But watch the movie; it is phenomenal. It is beautifully shot. The music is amazing. The dialogue and just the action sequences alone are worth watching, regardless if you like the movie or not.
Yeah, so same for me. This is definitely theater popped, but I'm in a conundrum here. This is the best movie I've ever seen that I've not loved, which is so weird. I don't understand. This is the everything is perfect about this movie. I just don't love it. I still recommend it. Please go watch it. It's theater popped. It's probably one of the best movies you'll watch with the music, the score, the acting, all top notch.
Mhm.
Just just didn't work for me though. I don't know why.
You're too dumb for it, man.
That's probably it.
Trust me,
All
me
right.
too.
All right, let's
But
get into spoilers.
like
So
Stewart,
last warning. This is spoilers. AK, you want to kick us off on the spoilers?
Yes. So basically, the way the movie starts off, and exactly where Dune One leaves off, they get rescued by the Freemans. The Freemans are taking them now to the rest of their, basically to the home or like the main city of that sect. Um, and you basically see how Paul is torn. Like he's getting these visions, and he knows they've already calling him their Messiah. What's the word they use? El al Salib. Is that what they were saying?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna
Uh,
try saying it, dude.
yeah, whatever it is, that's basically just saying like my lead, my father, or like my leader. So you see how he's kind of torn in between. Should I be that cult leader they want, or should just do my own thing and just survive? And it's like a conflict that's tugged on his head when Johnny playing one side, and then his mom, Lady Jessica, playing the other side. Lady Jessica wants them to convince everyone that he is that
The
leader, the
Messiah,
chosen
right?
Messiah. And then you have
So
Johnny,
that
who's
is
like, just be yourself.
that's the most impressive part about this movie, and I was actually most engaged during that when he's
Hmm.
going with that internal conflict within himself, because his mom is like, I'm gonna move forward with my plans. Like you will catch up. I just know it, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
she just put the groundwork of making this guy the Messiah. So by the time he's actually ready for it, it's like it's like super quick. Like
yeah.
people just automatically follow him because of the environment his mother creates for him,
Was not just even
which
his
is
mother, because if you remember the first movie, they mentioned that planet Arrakis, they have been planting the seed of the Messiah for the past I think they said past century. So
yeah,
this is a long thing they've been planning, but then Jessica basically just hijacks that.
right. She's like, no,
It's
it's my
yeah,
son because the Bene Gesserit, they had multiple irons in the fire, basically.
prospects. Yeah,
You're right. And Jessica was like, no, it's my son. Just like just laid it out, and she's like, yeah, he's gonna be the Messiah, and I'm gonna reach where I need to go.
yeah. One thing that stood out to me is when they basically asked her to join her as like the, I guess, the main leaders of the sect, of the Freeman sect. So the Freemans basically asked Lady Jessica like, "Hey, if your son is the Messiah, then we want you on our board of like Freemans." So they have her drink this blue liquid poison that when she drinks it, it kind of impacts the baby in her belly. She is actually pregnant with the Duke's daughter, which was revealed in the first movie. But whatever that poison was, kind of impacts the baby's brain, where Jessica and the baby start having a dialogue, and the baby is very manipulative herself. Like,
I know. That was super cool. And what did you think
yeah.
of the reveal that Jessica was Baron Harkonnen's daughter?
Oh yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Right.
I like that twist. I think my only concern or issue is we never really showed Lady Jessica have any care of the world when it comes to Harkonnens. Like, she didn't curse the Harkonnens. She didn't like cry the name out when they killed her boyfriend, the Duke. So I feel like if she had more emotion or like had more like a guilt when it comes to the Harkonnens prior to that reveal, it would have been a bigger dagger in the stomach.
I agree. It was a reveal, but it wasn't impactful for me. It was kind of
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, that's cool, kind of thing.
like that's
So
interesting. It,
yeah,
it
it's
adds a lot to
interesting.
the story, but like it could have added more if it was trickled out the last two movies.
Right. And did you want to reveal the daughter? We had a little future scene with her.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Who was that?
Yeah, so they had Anna Taylor Joy play that, and it's literally a 15-second scene, and they got
Flash forward
one of
scene
the
with a
biggest actresses right now just to play like a 15-second scene. So my guess is
which
in part
Dune
3 we'll probably see
Messiah.
more of her. Yeah,
I think because from my understanding, and I did read the book, I don't understand the book. I'm not smart enough for that book. I read it. I understood the basics of it. But the daughter, Paul's sister, was actually only born in the book. So around the halfway, give or take point, they do kind of like a flash forward. Now it's been like 2 3 years that he's been trained to be a freeman. And actually, the daughter, Anna Taylor Joy's character, I can't remember her name. She's the one who actually kills the Baron. This
Oh,
3 year old little girl stabs the Baron in the books.
interesting. Because
They
the
took all that out and gave it to Paul to,
okay, so
yeah,
the Baron is killed by Paul.
and
That's
not
a
the
big
sis.
change. I wonder how the book readers felt about that.
Yeah, I didn't have a cure in the world because, like I said, that book was too much was going on in that book. I only comprehended maybe a third of what I read. So- but
Yeah.
yeah.
So just to recap a little bit here,
Mhm.
we got Jessica laying the groundworks for Paul to become the Messiah. Paul is having the
Yes.
internal conflict, and he finally goes to the south, where it's prophesied he will ascend and
Well,
become the
before
Messiah.
he goes to the south, what does he do? What is he able to achieve in the north before he goes south?
Yeah, so he, with a group of only 200 Freemans, is creating havoc for the Harkonnens. And Dave Bautista's character actually gets the brunt of the responsibility for that. And that's where Austin Butler's character comes in.
Yes.
And Austin Butler's character, I just loved him. I loved every scene with him. He was so menacing, so amazing. Um, so, yeah, a key little thing which might become a bit more prominent in or sorry, the third part is the nukes that these guys had.
Oh yes, that was
Yeah, they had an like
our
they could
arsenal.
literally have destroyed the entire planet if they chose to. But
Solar
yeah,
system. Like Jesus, like, God.
yeah. So House Atreides is stacked with
Well,
nukes.
they did say every house has an arsenal,
Yeah, but
so I'm
House
not
Atreides
sure
being
if
that powerful, they might have the
they might
most.
have
Who knows?
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, so like Austin Butler's character is also a prospect of the Bene Gesserits.
Right.
They're apparently because he is Paul's cousin through the mom's side because we found out that Lady Jessica is a Harkonnen, but they actually use Austin Butler's character by one of their other lady Bene Gesserits to basically produce an heir, a son.
Mhm.
Was it? Is that what she was producing? A son? Or was it a daughter that had been a
Uh,
Gesserit?
right. You're right. Austin Butler does have a son, or
Yeah,
sorry, a soon-to-be child, which is a daughter.
which
Okay.
is going to most likely come into play doing Dune Messiah, from my
Yeah.
understanding. That were
I
so that's
totally
going to
forgot
add
about
a
that.
yeah.
Yes.
So his line, the Harkonnens are technically not dead. There's still a Harkonnen baby out there.
Well, Paul is also technically a Harkonnen,
Well,
so
yes, yeah,
yeah,
yes, you're right.
yeah.
Yes. Um.
Um,
Also, what was your take on that whole battle scene? So basically, they go fleet south. Austin Butler basically decimates all of the northern sect of the Freemans, do brute force and actually very smart tactics, destructive, disgusting tactics, but it worked. Um, Basically collapsing the whole dune in on them. They were all on the ground. He collapsed the big dune inwards, so it basically collapsed and like suffocated them in. Brutal as hell. Smart. Um, but basically, they all pushed south, where the rest of the Freemen's about like a million of them were all gathered.
mhm.
So Paul, at that point, basically realizes he must lead these guys to battle to take out the Harkonnens. But while that is all going on, the Emperor actually arrives on the planet Arrakis. What was your whole take on that whole like third act big bad guy comes down to the planet? Like,
Okay, yeah. So we're close to the end here, right?
yep,
And the Paul is leading all these Freemans to fight.
the Harkonnens,
And
yeah.
yeah, so the Emperor is there. To me, it felt like House Harkonnen was going to backstab the Emperor if uh,
Oh yeah, they were
Paul didn't
100%.
attack. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that it was pretty interesting for that to happen, and I was waiting for Christopher Walken because he plays an emperor
Yeah, yeah.
to have his little Christopher Walken moment, which he kind of did when he was talking
He
to.
almost, he
He
almost.
did. He kind of did. He kind of did when he was talking to the Baron, which is pretty funny.
That was good. So
um,
like the reason why I brought that up personally, I thought that was way too short. They built it all
right.
up that it's going to be the Freemans against the Harkonnens, and then out of
Yeah.
nowhere, the third party, the Emperor, bait by Paul basically baiting him, saying, "Hey, you try to wipe out all of my family, the Atreides. I'm still alive. Come get me." Which is why the Emperor flies down to a house, to
Yeah.
planet Arrakis. That whole part
A
lasted
little
like 10
convenient.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah. I
was
agree.
expecting like a good 30-minute drawn out epic battle, which the
I would
battle
have
for what we
watched it.
got, yeah,
Yeah.
because the battle we got was a great 15-minute. It was beautifully done, but it was done way too quickly, and then they
Yeah.
automatically imprisoned the emperor. Like in a matter of 5 minutes, they went up to his throne room. They threatened him, and they got him. And I was like, I kind of want to see the emperor. I want to see Christopher Walken do something, like do more.
Yeah. So in that scene, we actually got a really good fight between Austin Butler's character
Oh
and Timothy
yes,
Chalamet's character.
that was great. That was
They
an
cut the
amazing
music
fight.
out, which was eerie, and you just hear them just like beating each other with the swords. And there's a
And I
little scene there that kind of felt like, oh shit, is Timothy Chalamet's character gonna die, kind of thing, because Austin
yeah.
Butler's character was so menacing, and
Well, let's
obviously.
back up before that fight. What
Mhm.
did Paul Atreides do? What did he do that definitely creates a love circle somewhere in this story? Paul announces that he'll marry the princess, who's played by Florence Pugh's character, which basically breaks Zendaya's Chani's
Mhm.
heart. Because Paul Atreides and Chani, this whole entire movie became an item. They became dependent on each other, and they had a very strong connection. But she did not want him to go the Emperor route. She did not want him to become the Messiah. The Messiah. She wanted him to just be who he is. And when he became the Messiah, when he announced himself as the Messiah, she kind of started drifting apart. And
Right.
immediately when she drifted apart, Paul announced that he'll marry the princess's hands, like to unite the family. Uh,
Right.
and
And I
that
think that's a very
divides Shawnee
strategic maneuver.
on
And
his end. Yeah.
yeah, it felt warranted just because of what had happened when he became the Messiah. Like he could see the multiple futures. And
Yes,
kind of like
yes.
Doctor Strange, there was
Doctor
one
Strange
possible
outcome.
solution to getting through this. And that's what he is saying, that there's one narrow way that I gotta go. And that's also why before he even announced it, he told her, it's like,
Like,
just
it's
know
going
I'm
to be
always gonna
hard.
love you,
Yeah.
but I gotta do what I gotta do.
But that is just that because I was on the holistic team, Paul and Cheney, so that kind of pissed me off. I was like, come on, man! Like, I know, Florence Pugh is beautiful, but Zaya is also beautiful, and you only got one. Like, leave Florence for the rest of us.
Yeah, no.
No,
It was foreshadowed enough that I enjoyed it because
yes,
you
that was
mentioned
well done.
earlier the baby was able to talk to Jessica, and the baby even mentions like keep your options open because we might need your alliance in the future.
Yes, that was right.
Yeah,
That is right. Also,
so
so
that was
who's
good.
no 100%. Another standout character for me was Javier Bardem's character Stilgar. He
Yeah,
was in the first movie, but he plays a bigger role in this movie,
yeah,
and he basically just plays a Freeman leader and a warrior who devotes his life to finding the Messiah.
right,
So whenever he finds Paul and he's convinced that Paul is the Messiah, this guy acts like Paul is the king. Paul is like, anytime Paul says something, oh, he's being humble. Like, look at him. He would never know. Oh, he was
right.
too funny. He definitely had me laugh. The whole theater was cracking up when he was on screen.
Yeah, awesome. Anything else before we get into things that maybe we wish were a little different?
Well, no, we always start talking about things we had issues with. So, do you have anything else? I know I mentioned about the final fight scene was kind of too short. Did you have any
Right.
issues?
Yeah. I thought that I'm weird and I get it. I like politics. And I wish this leaned a little bit heavier into the politics.
Hmm.
And I can actually see a slightly different movie where it's the politics of the entire aspect is just cranked up a little bit more. And I think I would have a much better understanding of the houses and where they stood and what their intentions are if we had more dialogue on the political side of it.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, that might not be more of a fun
Well,
movie for most people.
if you don't mind me interjecting there, so have you actually heard about what they're doing with this whole Dune universe, like the expansion that they're doing? Because I know the director David Asalua, Venice. I do apologize. I'll get your name one of these days, but he's also directing the new Dune Messiah movie. But there's
Right, it's his
also
trilogy,
been,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
but there's also been greenlit a Dune Prophecy TV show on HBO Max. That's going to be in
Interesting.
relation to the movies,
Okay.
but it shows the Bene Gesserits planting their seeds all among the galaxy, and I think that's what you'll like with the politicking and the maneuvering they're
Literally
going to do.
or metaphorically planting their seeds.
I mean, we saw this movie; it seems literal. Oh, man, that was an interesting scene. Let's go with
Right, right.
that.
Yeah. No, Denis Villeneuve, he is
Yes, that's his name.
amazing. And
Yes,
dang,
yes.
his movies are just visually and everything just like perfect. So
What I
good.
like about him is he doesn't think the audience is dumb. So he's
Yeah,
not afraid to do something and not explain it, but have it
right,
make sense within the universe it's set in.
right,
Which I respect that. He didn't like treat it like we're done, like, hey, let me break this down to you so you don't have any questions leading up. Like, no, no, just go with it. Just
right,
enjoy what's going on and just take it as it is.
for sure. And
Um, yeah, but did you have any last thoughts?
yeah, so I had one main issue with this movie, and it's hard for me to explain. So I did say that I love the movie, like it's an amazing movie that I'm not sure I love.
Yes.
And I think that part comes from I didn't really connect with any of the characters. I never really felt strongly for one character or the other. And that could be the way they wanted it to be, which is
Hmm.
totally cool. But I think for me, it's I'm more of a novice when it comes to movies. So I think I like having someone I can champion behind, someone I like, some a
You
character
telling
that
me
has likability,
you
and I
telling me
didn't
you weren't on
feel
team
that.
Austin Butler?
Yeah.
I see
Again,
what you mean though.
amazing acting and amazing everything and amazing scenes. Like it's such a weird paradox I'm in. It's like it was so amazing, but just didn't really love it.
Well, question. This is into like the spoiler territory for future movies and projects and books as well.
Mhm.
You know what becomes of Paul Atreides, right?
Right, I am aware, and I don't think we should
Uh,
touch on it just
okay,
yet, just
okay.
because people in part three,
No, no,
we should
yeah,
respect that.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to explain. That's probably why you haven't really connected with anybody yet because
Right, right.
there hasn't been that actual like. I
Hmm.
think that's who Florence's character may be
Okay.
because they kind of built her up in this movie as someone who is recording the history and someone who's also wanting to make a good change. Because she
Right.
mentioned in the beginning, why did my dad send troops and to support the Harkonnens on Arrakis? Why did we wipe out the Atreides? Why is the Bene Gesserits controlling my dad's action and manipulating? She's
She's
asking
smart.
the right
Yeah.
questions.
She's
So
smart.
I
Yeah.
think depending on how the third movie progresses, because it's based on the second book, which I've not read yet, I think she might be a focal character going
Okay.
forward.
Yeah. Perfect. W- Part three, I'll definitely watch. Let's
Oh
just put
yeah,
it that way. Yeah.
like you said, like I said earlier, regardless if you like the movie, it's a must watch in theaters.
I agree.
Yeah, but all right, I know we mentioned earlier we both think this is a theater pop movie. What did you guys think? Like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know any other movies to watch. Thank you.
All right, guys. Peace.